What a roller coaster of a season it has been. She came in downwind, it actually winded me. What's up, guys? I hope you had an absolutely action-packed 2019 season. I know I did. At the beginning of that season, my buddy actually purchased a Helium XL, and I was already running and gunning with the Xop Vanish, and I got to spend a good amount of time in both, so I thought it would be cool to do a comparison video between the two since they're actually quite similar in a lot of different ways for anyone who might be considering a purchase for a new run and gun setup. So with that being said, we're going to weigh the pros and cons of each one, what I like, what I dislike, and then at the end I'll give you a general overview of which stand that I would go with if I was going to spend my own money. And we're going to start this process by doing an overview of the Xop Vanish. The first stand that I'm going to talk about is the Xop Vanish. So the Xop Vanish is a cast aluminum stand. It's got a 350-pound safety rating. It's got a 27 by 19-inch platform. It's got a fully leveling platform and a fully leveling seat. The seat cushion on this is actually pretty innovative in my opinion because it has a quick detach system that lets you flip it under for quiet carry. And it comes in at about $167. That's the cheapest I could find it online yesterday. I'm going to talk about the things that I like, and then I'm going to talk about the things that I don't like. The first thing I like about this stand is the VersaStrap system it employs. You get 2 points of contact, so it's really safe. It makes it super easy to cam the tree stand over, and then it gives you a little bit of peace of mind as far as safety goes. VersaStraps are also the quietest and the easiest way to hang a tree stand in a tree, in my opinion. Like I mentioned earlier, the seat actually has a quick detach system that lets it fold up under the stand for quiet carry. And both the seat and the platform are very, very rigid. And what I mean by that is I can put this seat in a certain position and know that it's going to stay there and not fall back on me. I can do the same thing with the platform. This allows me to get in and out of the tree really quiet, and it makes for some pretty quiet carry on the way to and from the tree. It does have a cast aluminum platform too that makes it really quiet in cold conditions. It also makes it to where it's not going to creak or pop if you shift your weight on it like some of the spot welded stands will. And then the last thing I'll touch on with this is the color. It's got a nice deep green color. It blends in well with most trees, and you're not going to need to do any painting on it to make it not stick out like a sore thumb. Moving on to the cons with this particular stand, I've noticed that the bolts like to loosen a little bit over time. Now I put over 80 sits in this stand, and I've only had to check the bolts on here twice, but some of the parts tend to come loose. Maybe that's because of how much I'm using it, maybe not, but that's something you want to watch with these. The second thing is that some of the washers on here, when it gets really cold, will actually squeak, and it's super loud. So you'll want to check that when you're hunting in super, super cold conditions because of how rigid and tight these seats are. They do tend to squeak a little bit when it gets super cold. Now you can negate that by I actually use some vegetable oil on it every once in a while, and it makes it go completely silent, after that. But it does happen, and that's something you want to watch for. And the last thing I'll touch on with this is that it's kind of a small platform. Now, I personally like that. I like to leave the smallest footprint in the tree that I can, but some people with bigger feet or people who like bigger platforms, this stand does have a small platform, especially when I'm comparing it to the Hawk. The next stand we're going to talk about is the Helium XL. Now, the Helium XL comes in at just under 12 pounds, pretty close in weight to the Xop, although I do believe it to be a little bit lighter. It's $150. That's the cheapest I could find it online, so it is a little bit cheaper. It's got a bigger platform. It's a 24 by 30 inch platform. It's got a 3-inch memory foam seat that's actually pretty nice, and it attaches to the tree using a hook system. I'll show a close-up of that. It's got a powder coating over the entire thing. It's supposed to make it last longer in terms of durability, and it's supposed to deter rust. The things I like about this stand are that it's got a really big platform. If you got big feet or you just like the bigger platform to be able to turn around, that's really nice. The seat on this thing is noticeably more comfortable than the Xop, which I like as well. And then the price point is pretty hard to beat. If you're looking for the cheapest way to get into mobile hunting, this stand has you covered. The things I don't like about this stand, it is spot welded at every point of contact, which means if you stand up and shift your weight in it, especially if it's cold out, it's probably going to crack and pop on you just a little bit. This stand also doesn't have a whole lot of rigidness to it, and that just means that the parts are pretty loose on here. You could probably fix that by tightening up the bolts, but it makes it carry a little bit noisy unless you bungee it down or you know, go out of your way to silence it. And then as far as like setting it up in the tree, it does make it a little bit louder. The last thing I want to touch on, and I really don't like this, if I got one of these stands, I would for sure put a Versa button on it, because this tree hook attachment system, it's a little bit hard to do, especially if your hands are cold and they're not wanting to work. And it's a little bit loud too. I don't really care for it that much. But other than that, it's a really good stand. All right, well, that pretty much sums things up for this video. I did leave out two pieces of information that I want to touch base on. So the Hawk platform, it cannot be leveled where the XOP can. The seat on the Hawk does have leveling capabilities, but the platform does not. The second thing I didn't touch on is the Hawk seat. You can actually take the seat off of that, the memory foam seat, and flip it around and put it on the underside for quiet carry. However, it is a Velcro system. It doesn't just slide over like the, or flip over like the XOP seat does. You actually have to undo the Velcro, take it off, put it under, and then reverse the process when you get to your tree. So it can be done, although it is a little noisy. The last thing I want to touch on, and the question you guys are probably asking, is which stand should I spend my money on? And that is a question that only you can answer for yourself. Each stand has its pros and its cons, and you'll have to decide what's important to yourself as a mobile hunter to answer that question. Now, if you're trying to beat a response out of me, I have personally found the most value in the XOP system. It does cost a little bit more, but in my opinion, it has a few other features that are really important to me that make it worth a little bit of extra money. I do like Hawk's sticks, though. I personally run the Hawk Helium sticks, and I run the Xop Vanish, and they pack together super well. I don't know how good you can see that from the video, but they pack together super well. I have to have a double stick, and XOP right at this moment just doesn't make one. So I've combined the two systems, and in my opinion, for the money, you cannot find a lighter weight, more packable compact system than running the Hawk sticks and the Xop Vanish. So I hope this video helps some of you guys. If you like what I'm doing, make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. If you think I left out some features that are super important to a purchasing decision related to these two stands, make sure you drop them in the comments. And like always, thanks for watching. See you in the next video.